and you are live.
Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on July 27th, 2024. I do not like that. I just scrambled myself, didn't I? Journey continues today on July 27th, 2024 at approximately 4:30 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies that I utilize to guide virtually every move I make. Now, with this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me, and they have worked for literally thousands of other people over the years with varying degrees of success, depending on their own personal efforts. Now, before we go very far into this, LA Moon, glad you're here. Hope things are going well. Rachel, you are in with the gold. And a pleasant surprise here, Renee is right in behind you with the silver. So today, and we'll get to the others, and there's Joe coming in hot behind the two of you with the bronze. That's Joe Stewart. Now, today we're still looking at the rituals and the prayers and rituals of spirituality. But today we're going to look at them on an individual base, meaning if you're having trouble getting started on your own path, that's what we're here to deal with today. Now, absolutely, if you've got a question, ask. If you've got an area you're striving to get moving forward on, and you're okay with asking about it, put it in the chat room. I will very, very efficiently, in my eyes, lay it out for you and get you started in the right direction. Couple of things to point out right off the bat. Okay. August positive perspective. Yes, we've been a little scattered. August isn't exactly what I'm looking for, but it is complete. So it will go out. It will go out tonight, like literally once the stream is done. That being said, we also have this neat little addition. This isn't an addition, but Races of the World. I am currently on page 80 of 94 in the expansion. So much as it won't be out at the end of August as I had hoped, it will be out at the end of September. That's first and foremost. These are just little things that walking through a very specific path, I've managed to get things moving in the right direction. This is the side effect. Now, that said, with Races of the World coming on track, there are going to be... I'm going to hurt myself. My back is still screwed up. But these neat little books, the Believe in Your series, I've just laid out Believe in your organization. It will be another book the same size. Okay. Still at $20 Canadian, anywhere in Canada or the continental US. Okay. The rest, we got to look at the price. Because unfortunately, I am not in a position to be paying that and the kind of postage that the different corporations want. Okay, but we are looking at moving into a PDF. Storm brought it to my attention. We had talked about it a while ago. And what I've decided, and I haven't even had a real chance to sort this out with Storm yet, but we'll get the PDF done. You will still end up, when you buy one of these, you'll still get the hard copy. But Storm brought up the idea of getting a PDF out so that you'll be able to get started reading it right away. The hard copy will, for obvious reasons, take a little longer. Sorry, but I can't do much about that part. Now, again, first thing in the morning, what you do to get yourself back on track. Now, if you've already been on track, this is great. Okay, if things are working for you, stay on them. If you're not, then here's how to get it. Here's the way that I got my life on track. Okay, pick a time to get up in the morning. Okay, don't worry about when you're going to bed. Pick a time. You can always go back and grab a nap a little later, or usually. Okay, but you pick a time. The most successful people in the world happen to be in the office working by 5, maybe 6 o'clock in the morning, local time. Okay, so I get up a little earlier. Quite often, I'll be up at 3 or 4. Not necessarily a good idea, but you pick a time to get up. Get into the office and working right off the bat. Okay, this is why you get so many people, and I have no idea why they do this, but this is how so many business people manage to be on the golf course at noon. Now, my own personal opinion, I wouldn't set foot on it. Okay, back in 1986, I was working for a golf club. Apparently the second best country club in the country. And I'll tell you, 1986, we had one gentleman passed away due to anaphylactic shock. A 12-year-old kid managed to resuscitate him long enough to keep him alive until his wife could make it to his side, from the other side of the golf course. Now, with that in mind, okay, that one I can understand. But ignoring that one, we had 8 people die on the golf course due to heart attacks. Okay, now for a game that is supposed to bring strength, to bring relaxation, I'm not sure how it qualifies as relaxation if you've got that many deaths on one golf course. Picture how many people die on the average golf course during the year. To me, this is not an indication of relaxation. But you get started in the morning at a time to get up. Now, when you get up, okay, if you haven't already started the lift method, put it to use. Moonhawk, how you doing? You are in with the bronze, Moonhawk. No, wait a minute, that's wrong. You are in with honorable mention. One of the things that we look at here, you get yourself up at the same time. Now, if you haven't already started the list method, okay, while you're saying that, let's get you started now. Okay, not next week, not at the end of the show, now. Storm goes, some people find smacking the living heck out of a small white sphere quite relaxing. Not my experience. They claim they do, but I will tell you, the other thing that happened that year, we had a clear blue sky going on, and we had a lightning storm popped up. I'll tell you, people that say seniors can't run have never been on a golf course with a whole pile of people hanging on to lightning rods. Robert White goes, playing with metal rods in open fields. What better game to avoid the lightning is there? So I mean, when that first thunderclap hit, everybody in mid-stroke let their golf clubs fly wherever they were going and ran for cover. Now, it was really kind of wonderful because we spent 3 weeks trying to figure out who belonged to which golf clubs. But let's get started, shall we? Enough of putting things off. This whole idea of letting people figure it out hasn't worked very well, in case you hadn't noticed. So, grab yourself a sheet of paper if you haven't already got one. Take a look around the room, okay? Because today what we're doing is we're getting you started on a way to a more enjoyable tomorrow for you. Rest assured, you don't do this, it doesn't have any functional bearing on me. Okay, but you take a look at this. Now you see all these? This is what I've been up to today. There's a few in the middle here, right near the bottom, I haven't done yet. Okay, but in total, using this method, I've got 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, 17 things I've already got off the rack. Okay. And, sorry, 18. And I've got another 6 listed to go. Now, like I said, you only require 3 to keep mobile. But look around your room, pick the first thing you see that's out of alignment. It's not where it belongs. Uh-oh. Now, I gotta ask, LA. I gotta ask what the finder's fee is for. Is that referring to the missing golf clubs? Or did we switch topics in the middle of things? Which I got no problem with. But get 3 things down. But remember, keep the list. Keep the items down to a 15-minute to half-hour job. Okay. That way you can get them racked off. Now, yes, when I look at 20 things being off my list, understand 10 hours, so I've gotten a little ahead of the game. We're now at 4:30. Yeah, I've been up since then for 12 hours, so that's not bad. I think it was 12 hours now. Ouch. Yeah, sorry. Got up at 2 this morning and then grabbed an extra hour's nap. So, essentially, I managed to get 10 hours of projects done, racked off, and that's while spending 4 hours playing Skyrim. Okay, so does this method, oh, there we go. Well, that was sort of a free service we did. The golf club, like, literally spent weeks trying to sort it out. Some people were a little while getting back due to the fact they had lost loved ones in the middle of everything. The neat thing there, Joe, like Joe goes, I'm the cemetery man. The funny thing there is the golf club I was working at was right. It shared a fence with the local cemetery. Made it a lot shorter distance. But as you well know, people all over the world are dying to get into cemeteries. Conversely, they're dying waiting to get into a golf course. But you get the 3 items down. Make sure they are only 15 minutes to half an hour. Okay. Now, the things may be like, for instance, taking a look at your office desk. And this is where you really start. Okay. Because the key with your office desk, wherever you work on your finances, the real key to that is the moment you get your office working. The office is the brainchild of both your home and your work. Oh yeah, definitely, Robert. Robert White goes, it's the biggest holes for the golf balls over the fence. on that particular yard, it was great. On the 10th hole, like it was up against the bank on the back of the course. But if you didn't get a hole in one, you had to add a stroke. No matter how good you were going to add a stroke to your game on that hole, because we had a whole infestation of groundhogs in that back embankment, and every time a ball hit the ground, one of those little monkeys would run out, grab the ball, and take it into their lair. Well, eventually, after I've been working there for 4 years, the golf club turned around and dug that whole bank out. 6,000 golf clubs pulled out of the marmot holes. But as you can see, this works because I work with it. I can give you the tool, but the fact of the matter is, if you don't put the tool to use, okay, it's not going to work for you. Now again, we are looking at a neat little situation here where this becomes a bit of a ritual. I get up in the morning, and it's a normal routine for me. And realistically, a routine and a ritual mean essentially the same thing. I get up in the morning, do what I have to in the washroom, make my bed, get dressed, and get my list started. Now, once it's up and running, okay, at the end of the day, you're still going to have 3 things on your list. So tomorrow morning, you already know where you're starting. Now, one thing you do have to keep in mind, okay, is that when you're laying out starting the day, just like working in a job, virtually every job has a list of things that have to be done before you can functionally get on with the day. So, of course, in my case, I think I might have a dozen. Let's see. First thing in the morning, I take care of my health, which means take what little medication I do use, get my breakfast, get my office, make sure it's all clear. Like I said, make the bed, make sure that I read the 3 books that I'm working on, and write my journal. Yeah, so I've got 8 on the list before I even go into the bedroom. Okay, but this works. I know it works because, like Joe Stewart, I've been keeping track of it. Okay. Joe Stewart does a journal every day. Okay, by the way, so do I. But on top of that, these 3 duotangs. Some of you guys remember these things. Okay. These 3 duotangs contain what I have done. Yeah, my back is still buggered up. But these cover January to September. Now, that's the to-do list I've been doing. Okay, and I can go back and take a look at it and see what I was working on if I really decide to. The important factor here is when you've got a ritual. Now, maybe you pray first thing in the morning. Okay, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Okay, as a matter of fact, anything you do that helps you get focused on a better day, okay, on a better outcome than the day before, utilize it. Do not worry about whether other people agree with you. Okay, whether other people think what you're doing is working doesn't matter one iota. What matters is whether you find it's working for you. Okay, that's the biggest thing you got to look at. Now, in my case, I look at it this way. I am setting things in motion to make certain they get clear. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I broke it down to make absolutely certain I got Races of the Worlds done because I keep having to put it off. And I am tired of putting things off. But the reason I've had to is because so many times somebody's turned around and, they've turned around and gone, I know we owe you money, but we're not giving it to you. Okay. Which means, whereas I usually would turn around and get 100 copies done at once. I cannot afford to do that right now. Okay. But at least not the way I'm looking at it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, as soon as it's ready for print, I will talk to my printer and get 25 to start with. Okay. It's a little more expensive for me doing that, but it means I get them in print. And again, guys, I will certainly ask your input on this. Okay. Right now, I don't know if I want to call it ritual or just common sense. When you think, when those of you that are waiting for them, when you think of self-help manuals or Races of the World, in the way of smaller books that size, okay, so they won't cover everything by any means, but what topics do you feel would be beneficial? I will tell you, I'm laying out the path tonight to get Meet the Reticulans and Meet the Reptilians into form right away. I don't know what other breakdowns I'm going to be looking at, but your guys' input would absolutely be appreciated. Okay, and again, I've got the three believing yourself out. I've already set believe in your organization. Okay, which is what we're talking about right now, on top of the ritual thing. Now, I will tell you, if you're looking at getting focused, a couple of things help immensely. Okay, taking a little candle, okay, and lighting it in front of you so you can actually focus on that, just to draw your attention back to the immediate point. There we go. Joe Stewart goes, I haven't been doing too much journaling lately in Dream Journal 4, just dreams. But the dreams have been an adventure. I very seldom remember what my dreams are. Of course, I'll watch something completely inconsequential and have a memory flashback from a past life, which is really disconcerting on occasion. But it is time to really take a look at things, to really look at the way your life is going and go, okay, I've got to get started on a pattern that works. Now, for me, what I'm talking about, this works like an absolute charm. Okay, because by writing it down, you can stay focused on it. But like I said, and for those of you that are going, well, sure, I'd like to ask about this, but I don't know if it's appropriate. Odds are there's a half a dozen people already listening that have the same question. Okay, that just haven't figured out how to ask. So absolutely drop the question on the line, and I will do my level best to answer. The neat part about it is, as you actually get your life in order, okay, things will shift around quite nicely. What is that? I gotta grab a box here. It literally boils down to making certain that you turn around and do what you have to. And I'll look back down here. Oop, that's our sequence. There we are. Now, it really boils down to this. Get a pattern set up. If you haven't already, okay, it's long overdue time. Now, you can live your life your way. I'm not saying this is the only way to do it. Okay, I'm just saying this is the way I do it, and it's working. Now I just have to get things moving properly. Let me ask you this. Are you content with the path your spiritual leaders guiding you? Okay. Are the people that you're following, that you're listening to, are they leaving you feeling energized, hopeful, looking forward to the future? Or are you looking at the world going, oh, we're heading into famine and shortages and problems and crime? Okay. I don't know about you, but the moment I start looking at that, I'm going like, well, that's depressing. What are we doing that for? If your spiritual guide is telling you that it's focusing on what is wrong with the world, especially, and yes, I'm going to put my foot in it. Okay. If you're going to a church, okay, and they're talking about all the good they're doing, it might be time to talk to your pastor or your priest or your bishop or even your covenant leader. If they're claiming to be working on the downtrodden, okay, ask them what they're doing locally. Because I hate to be the one to pop your bubble. No, I don't. Here I am in Canada. I feel for the people in Ethiopia. Do not get me wrong. But frankly, the ones that are starving on my own streets are a problem. Okay. And if your church, your temple is not doing something about that, then they're going down the wrong road, in my opinion. Okay. Governments are caught up in all this thing about let's help the people on the other side of the world. And apparently, let's give immigrants everything while we leave the starving in our own city starve. Now, I don't know how they rationalize that. It doesn't make sense to me. What does make sense to me, however, is that if we, as a combined society around the world, now, in this case, we're sitting with a small community of currently 633 people. Okay, now, I haven't looked at the stats lately, but I think in YouTube it also gives us information on what we're looking at in the way of views, of how many people have viewed it. So let's take the rule of mice from the exterminator. If one person is in here, there's another 6 that aren't listed in the subscribers that are listening. Okay, which means we go from 637 and 33. Where did I put it? There it is. So I got 633 listed. Times 6 gives us just shy of 4,000. They're tapping in on a regular basis. Now, that's only a rough gauge. But if, as a community, we start turning to the churches that are claiming to take care of the sick and the poor and start calling them on it, okay, now, I can stand on the doorstep of a church and I can complain. Fact of the matter is, I don't go to church. I am Christian, in as much as I do believe in God, I do believe in Christ. Okay, to me, that makes me Christian. But I will not turn my back on the poor just because, oh, they're not dressed properly. They're poor. This is why they're not dressed properly. Now I think people have their priorities a little backwards. And it's time to call on to start working on the rituals that are being utilized to separate people, to isolate, to divide. There is a big problem here. Now, absolutely, if you don't see this as a problem, number one, you don't have to. But ask yourself this. I'm seeing it as a problem now. I may not be seeing something, I may be seeing something you're not, or vice versa. But I'm seeing the way that so much money is being spent trying to, taking care of drug addicts and, like as in giving drug addicts free drugs. There's a problem with this. Now, here's the kicker. This is what I'm hearing. I don't know what the government is claiming. I don't listen to the government. But when you take a look at getting your life in order, don't look to the government. They're not responsible for you getting your dishes done. Okay? And rest assured, the church is not going to come down and make your bed for you. And I'm pretty certain that any of the off-worlders aren't going to come down into your house and clear the clutter. All of these things are yours. Okay? But again, if you put a list together, okay, only keep it 3 long. That way you don't get overwhelmed with the list. And then you rack them off. Okay, one at a time. But you got to understand, all the wishful thinking, all the wishful prayers in the world aren't going to make the clutter go away from your house. They aren't going to get your garbage taken out. Okay. It's just literally an issue of you have to make a decision that you're going to change your life. Now, I will tell you, okay, this particular book, that is the backbone of how I changed everything in my life and why I currently have, I think, 38 books at this point. Matter of fact, I think what I'm going to do is grab this and go calculate books in production. I will get that. That's on my list, which means it'll get done before the end of the day or first thing tomorrow morning. The reason I say it might be that is right now unfinished. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 7 items to do before I pack it in for the night. Okay. Now, I got asked. The asking, I presume today is Saturday. That's always a fun one for me. Especially when my cell phone goes missing. What do we got here? Oh, there we go. Joe goes, speaking of church, I've had dreams about church. Sure, they're written down in the dream journals. Okay. And I've got nothing against church. I've got to talk to Nathan when I can and get him to build me one. Because the neat thing is, I have already decided I am going to get Nathan to build me an automated church. It says somewhere in the Bible that a church behaves in a certain fashion. I just want to have one because I've never seen one built. Now, curiosity. Have any of you taken the time while we're sitting here to get 3 things on a list that you've got to get done that are not where they belong right now. Okay, the reason I'm asking is because the idea of sitting back and waiting for things to shift isn't working well. Okay, and we all know if a government official shows up, they're not coming to help. Okay, not on the whole. It's kind of funny that way. But here's the thing. I'm not talking about one government. I'm talking about any of them. My ex-wife actually called me the only true racist she'd ever met because I don't separate people. I look at everybody and go, this is the way you all should be treated. Some of you already are doing that, which is great. But most people do not actually treat each other in a decent fashion. Yeah, LA goes, yes, I have been doing that regularly. The fact of the matter is, the reason I come back to this, ultimately it's a ritual. Okay. It really does boil down to do the same thing every day at the same time. That's a ritual. Now, you can absolutely sit down and pray that your dishes get done. Give it a shot, see if it works. I'm thinking unless you get your tail feathers off the chair, they're not getting done. This is just one of those things we've got to look at and go, how are we going to go about this? Now, if you haven't looked it up already, back in 1973, there was a song called Up, Up with People by the Carpenters. Give it a listen. It paints the picture really clearly. Okay, what I'm looking at right now is the number of you that are sitting there going, I know I've got to change the way my life is, but it's such a big task. Where do I start? Okay, where you start is easy. Okay, like I said, right where you are right now. There is no right or wrong in the way of priority. Not where it comes to this aspect. Okay, there is only do or don't. Now, the nice little part about it, when we take a look at this world, okay, our world, humanity, runs on ritual and is essentially caught up in prayer. But here's the kicker. So many of you will sit down and pray things change, but never do a thing to make it happen. Okay. I love the people that go, God's going to change it all. He's going to come down and clean this mess up. Well, my answer to that is, thanks for playing. Okay. Sad to say you were given free choice, free will, not freedom of consequence. So if you desire this world to shift, start with your own house. Start with your own apartment. Okay, wherever you're living, that's where you start making the changes. And I will tell you, as you get the stuff cleared out of the way, you will find things become a lot easier to work with. Now, the nice part about it, okay, honestly, I don't do a whole lot of praying anymore. Okay, the reason for it is I did come to the understanding that literally when you pray about doing something, about having something happen, you get off your tail feathers, okay, and make it happen. As it said, I forget exactly which one. I think it was actually the Santa Claus movie called Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, right? And there was a song in it that said, even a miracle needs a hand. So, what that boils down to is literally, you desire your life to change. It's time to get off your chair. Okay, It's time to focus on minor little changes. People do not learn to walk overnight without effort. Okay. And your the modern take on things is, I want to be successful with no effort. So there's a whole pile of programs out there. The 6-second tool, 7 seconds. And a week later, everything will be fine. Okay. So I don't know why people said 7 seconds. Okay. But I will tell you, I'm a much firmer believer in, okay, let's start the tool now and watch it change by the time the echo dies. Because I want to stand up, I'm just going to tilt that a little. There, now you can see me instead of that abdomen of mine. Mind you, I am happier with the shape my stomach's in. LA goes, I figure it's up to me to do my own stuff. I can ask for help from the family, and I do get it. But unless there's some crisis involved, I don't ask for divine intervention. Well, I agree with you there. And here's the kicker to it. This society is facing a crisis. Okay. But it's not the crisis you're being led to believe. Okay. Yes, there are wars going on. There are conflicts going on. Absolutely. But the crisis is frankly apathy. So many people are now looking at the world going, I desire change, but I don't desire to put any effort into it. And so many of these new programs coming out literally tell you, you can sit on your backside, you can get a piece of technology to exercise for you, and you'll get in better shape. Well, that's great from a physical standpoint, but it doesn't do a thing for the emotional one. Okay. As you know, I'm not actually saying I've got to keep an eye on where I'm standing, right? Because of the fact that, video kind of means if I walk over here and stay here, then it's called radio. If you can't see where I am, we call it radio. Yeah. LA goes, it's a scammer, it's a scammer's heaven around people right now. Absolutely. I will tell you, if I desire to drop weight, simple formula. Okay, real simple formula. If you do not have a medical compromise, if you've got a thyroid problem, an adrenal problem, maybe your body doesn't digest properly. Okay, these are the issues, right? But if you don't have medical reason for it, then dropping weight is easy. Okay, it's a simple ritual. Let's say this were a beer, because you're going to have to use your imagination. I haven't drank beer in 40 years. Okay, here's a ritual for you. Pick the glass up halfway to your mouth, set it back down. Okay, that way you're getting the exercise, because I'll tell you, after 300 or 400 lifts, you're going to end up building muscle. But things don't change by wishful thinking. How many times have people turned around and wished for a given politician to get out of the political field? Okay. Now, one of the neat things that I got to look at is I've already been very clear about where my finances are. I don't see the point in sitting here going, oh, by the way, I'm a multimillionaire. One day I'd like to be able to. But I did figure out how to get there. It boiled down to this. You desire to make money, to have more money in your bank account? don't spend more than what's going out and than what's going in. It's easy. It's pure math. You don't spend as much as what you're earning, you'll start growing a bank account. I get it. Like, I'm watching the number of things coming through technology. What technology has done is, in my opinion, made it real easy for people to scramble things. Okay, but let me ask you this. Can you think of anything? Just take a look at the people in this room. Okay, virtually everybody in this chat room seem to have the same idea. Let's change it. Let's see how we can change the world. Okay, at the very least, let's see how we can change our world. Now, it is unfortunate that that the stream is not growing as well as I'd like. I watched a stream come online about a month or so back, talking about the distracting information about Sasquatch. Okay, right now they're close to 1,000 people. Now, this is great. Now, I'm very happy for them. Okay, and then we have billions of people literally sitting down, listening to people tell you the world's going to end. Okay, so sit down, pray, pray that things change, but do nothing. Well, you do nothing. You don't follow some ritual. And like I said, very important here. If you desire to do something and you don't know how to do it properly, talk to somebody who has done it successfully. Now, this method, putting a list together, in case you hadn't noticed, bearing in mind that out of the 11 hours, where are we? 5:30, so I got up at 2, technically 3. Out of the 14 hours, I managed to get 11 hours of work done. Okay, and like I said, I did take time out to relax. So, we can safely say this works. But in order to make it work, everything I listed off, I had to get up and actually do something. Okay, now, I know some of you are working on it, but here's the real question. Are you turning around and making absolutely certain that the goal you have up here is one you feel in your heart? Oh, I sat down, now you can't see me. So he tilted that back down. Is that dream you've got in your head? Do you have that feeling, that imperative drive to attain it in your heart? And is your body getting up and moving to make it happen? Okay, this is what we got to look at. Because if you don't start looking and doing the physical work and you keep praying it's going to change without following through with a physical ritual of get up and get it done. You know that funny thing about washing dishes? Okay, it's amazing. You can look at them in the sink for a week. They won't move. And if they do, you might want to look at the sanitary side of it. Now, when I go out front, and ouch. That was one of those things I had first thing this morning. Yeah. I knew there were dishes I had to get done, so I went and got them done. But again, I didn't sit there going, I hope that they get done. Doesn't work that way. Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Have any of you, even one of you, ever just wished for the house to be cleaned and without getting up and doing it, or without asking somebody in the house to do it? Are any of you lucky enough to get it done just by wishing? Now, bear in mind, wishing is usually done in your head, not out loud. Praying is usually done out loud. Okay, but the net result is the same thing. you don't get off your tail feathers, you're not going to see it happen. Not in all likelihood. Now, of the bunch of you out there, I can give you a couple of goals I've got, and you'll see how quick they come about. On my list, on my to-do list, right, tonight when I get done, first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to end up taking my garbage out and the recycling. Okay. Then I'm going to sit down and I'm going to set in motion. I'm going to set the template down to start working on the books, on the 3 books this size I told you about. They're going to be laid out before the end of tonight. Okay. But this is because I literally have gone in the habit of going, write the list down. Whatever it is. Okay. Put those things on paper. Check them off as soon as they're done. And this is why you only put 3 on the list. When one gets finished, check it off. Pick a 3rd item to do. And write it down. Now, then you go back and just carry on with the list. Racking them off as you go. Hopefully this is making sense. And if it's not, absolutely, guys, ask. Where he is. I know I'm looking for it. Not actually very far away. See, temperature is getting a little stupid here. But I can work with it. There we are. Get a little bit of airflow and it should be fine. I wonder. Yeah, we're just over 80 degrees in the house. Neat part about it, guys, is when we're talking about ritual or prayer. Okay, now, I'm going to point something out for you. My dad, and I never understood it. This is one of the 3 books I'm reading. And right now, let me just do a quick check. Because I looked at how many pages were in it. I am now about a 3rd of the way through it. Okay, but I will tell you, if you happen to be Christian, if you happen to be turning to the Bible, get in the habit. This is the same message my dad gave me. Sadly, I didn't take him up on it until after his deathbed. Okay, but I promised him on his deathbed I would read the Bible cover to cover. Okay, I'm about a 3rd of the way through it. As it turns out, the Bible I've got, 2/3 of it is in the Old Testament. I'm about halfway through that. If you happen to belong to a church, pick, whatever church, doesn't matter. Find whatever scripture you're working with and get the book to read it cover to cover. Okay. Don't worry about whether you go to into a study group or join anything like that. I will tell you, there is far more information. Okay. One of the big things I found is this, and this is where past history and modern politics cross over. What I found in the first 1/3 of this is, first and foremost, the leaders of the countries, okay, were between 30 and 40 years of age, sometimes a little younger, okay, but with the upcoming elections, I urge you, don't look so much at the track record of somebody. Absolutely take it into consideration. But look at their birth certificate. Get somebody into office that has a brain that is thinking in terms that you agree with, okay, and still has enough life to do something. Bear in mind, many of these seniors are being put into positions of superiority, such as a president, a prime minister. These people are already on their last legs, it seems. Pick one that's going to have to live with the decisions they make. Okay, yes, I know that's cool, but it's also sadly real in my eyes. We have a right now. Here's the funny thing. I can't speak for France, England, or any other countries, only for Canada and the US. Every 4 years, we go through a ritual, okay, of electing somebody new to run the country. Okay, what I don't get is why people are so dead set on electing people that already have one foot in the grave and the other one on a banana peel. Why not elect somebody younger? Okay, sure, they may not have the experience, but they also still may be idealistic, which is what we require at this point. Okay, I do encourage you. Now, I read a couple of pages, well, more to the point, a couple of chapters every morning. Okay, because I'm going to get this finished. And I'm about a third of the way through it. Right. But I encourage you, oddly enough, if you're going to church, whatever religion, get in the habit, get a ritual going. Okay, where you get up in the morning, read a couple of chapters, cover to cover. You will be amazed, or in my opinion, appalled at what you read. Okay. Now, if you're sitting here and you're praying your life is going to change, it is only going to change if you get off your tail and make it happen. I mean, yes, there are such things as accidents where all of a sudden your life changes overnight. Absolutely there are. I prefer working with the ones that change your life for the better because you said, I'm doing it. Okay. And I kid you not, with this little item, okay, literally, by the time you finish reading it, by the time you finish reading the title, okay, you're already changing your life. Okay. Some people learn faster by listening, some by reading, some by doing. Okay. Well, the listening, you keep sitting here and keep telling me don't quit. Clearly, I'm saying something that is resonating with somebody. So I've decided I'm not going to argue the point anymore. Now, where are we? One of the things that we have to look at, or that would be wise to look at, is what is the outcome you would like, okay, to see in your life. I could go back down the road of what's wrong with your life. How about we do this? Can you name one thing that you're content with in your life? Okay, because I will tell you, one of the best tools I came across. You get up in the morning, like I said, go to the water, go and do what you have to in the washroom. Look in the mirror of the individual looking back at you. Compliment them. Just one thing. Maybe you've just combed your hair and it looks really nice. Maybe you like the amount of body your hair has. Maybe you're content with your physical shape. Whatever you see in the mirror, find something to compliment. Okay. Now, we can absolutely, all of us, can pick something we're not happy with. Okay. But let's start the day off finding something you are content with. In my case, I can look in the mirror and I can literally say I'm content with my hair. Okay. I used to, when I first started dropping the weight, I used to look in the mirror and go, that's just absolutely disgusting. You got to do something about that. Well, I'm now down fighting to get below the 180 or below the 190. I don't know how well that's going to turn out, but I'm not giving up on it. But it's time to pick something that you desire to improve. Okay, I will now. For those of you that are having a little complication with your relationship, here's a real kicker: whether you're living with the person or away from them. Okay, one of the best things you can do is say good, even if you're not solidly in the relationship. Let's say you just got underway and you're striving to make sure it stays stable. Every morning, literally, I lost it again. I do have a bad habit of doing that, don't I? Every single morning, literally, take your cell phone and to that special someone, even if you're living with them. Okay. This is called utilizing modern tech. Text them, good morning. If you've got a term of endearment you use, absolutely use it. At the end of the day, text them, good night. Okay. The reason for that is because it does help the communication lines. And for those of you that the desire to go down the road and go, well, I don't want to be the one always doing it. I can understand that, but you can only control you. And if you desire it to work, this is one of those easy tools to implement. But here's the kicker. Okay, within a week or so, that person will likely start returning the favor. Okay, this is how communication grows. It grows by people putting effort in. It does not grow by people sitting there going, well, I'm just going to think about it on my tail feathers. I'm going to stretch my feet out. I'm going to cross my arms like this. And I'm going to think about it changing. Because that's all it takes. No effort, no responsibility. And all you need is a neat little pill and a glass of water. Good luck with that. Doesn't work as well as you might think. Hopefully this makes sense. You know, one of the things I do look at here is this. I've got 8 billion people on the planet right now, roughly. Okay, and every one of you has free will, free choice. None of you have freedom from consequence. Okay, and even the people that say that you're calling elites, they have the same stipulations. Okay, hopefully this is making sense. Now, did I log out of that? I did. I just want to go in here. What I'm doing is checking in on something that is kind of important from my standpoint. Okay, now, I don't know. Well, yeah, I guess it makes sense. Okay, that have come through. That have come through, and I'm not going to tell you how much, but yeah, I'm looking back at some, and these are from dating back a while, some of them. But coming through, buy me a coffee. Okay. I'd like to put out a special thanks to Nathan, Simon the Likeable, Rachel Andrews, Frank, Robert White, sorry about that, Robert, and Renee Andrews, all of whom have really stepped up and give me a hand through some of the products, or sometimes just straight buying me a coffee. You have no idea how much that has helped. But a really big heartfelt thanks to all of you. And if it weren't for Storm coming forward and saying, let's set this buy me a coffee up, that has made money. Now, it's helped a lot. I was looking at something here. Where was it? Simon. Now, here's the neat little kicker to it, to give you an idea. When I said these guys only charge me a minimal amount, okay, just to give you an idea, one of these books, okay, like they're $20 in your hand. Out of the profit, okay, out of what I'm earning, these guys took 88 cents. Okay. Now, I am curious, but I can do this. That is a staggering 4%. Okay. Now, this is why I use these guys. Okay. So that so I can get this information out. And we will be turning around, and with Storm's help, we are going to get the PDFs done, which means you'll not only get the PDF, but you'll get the hard copy. Just PDF will get to you a lot faster. The reason I look at the hard copy is this. There is something in my eyes. There is something in my eyes that says the physical copy has a much different feel to it than the electronic one. Okay, that's why I utilize it. But because there's a very definite difference in the feel. You're hanging on to a book. And I keep these ones small so you can actually carry them with you as required. Now, one of the other things I do look at, okay, when we're looking at rituals. Now, hopefully this is making sense to you. Again, where it comes to getting the proper rest, something very important to realize. Okay, make it a direct habit. When you go to bed. Okay, but absolutely get in the habit of walking through your house. Whether it's the same direction all the time, who cares? An hour before you're going to bed, turn off all electronics. Turn off your phones, your TV, any of the podcasts you're watching. Just shut them off an hour before you go to bed. Now, this does not mean music. Music does not affect the optic nerve. But what's happening is we're so caught up in the electrical circuits that people's brains are not winding down. I will tell you, when I started doing that, it all of a sudden made my ability to sleep through the night a whole lot more effective. Now, I did set the bar kind of low. Okay, but now what we're looking at is a world where we've got to take dominant control in order to make sure that we get back on the right track. One of the biggest things we got to understand is if we all sit back and do nothing, okay, what's going to happen is this world is going to continue on the same path it's on. If, for those of you going attending a church or temple or a coven, if you are not encouraging people to deal with the local shortages, okay, they're already now the covens don't usually go, and correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but most of the time the people in coven don't go, oh, we're going to focus on the community. Okay, some of you do, but I do know with the churches and temples, they literally make a great big to-do about it. We're taking care of the sick and the homeless. Well, if that were the case, they would be on the street. Okay, so we can safely say that claim by their actions is quite frankly a shovel load. Okay, words are great, but it's actions that make things happen. Thought I had a book down there, but apparently I don't. Okay, one of the big things that we've got to start focusing on is literally working together to turn the tide. LA's just bringing us up to speed, and this is why I ask. According to LA Moon, many covens actually do food drives and whatever else they can, depending on their size. Okay, again, they're taking care of the locals. I don't have any problem with taking care of people in another part of the world. I really don't. But it seems to me counterproductive if you're giving all of your food supply away to the people on the other side of the world and making it illegal to help. Oh, speaking of that, the government of France, I just saw a post today. Okay, now whether this is an old post or what have you, I don't know, but it was dated for today. The government of France has now made it they've made it illegal for the grocery stores to throw their surplus out. Then the grocery stores now mandatorily have to take their unsold goods before they go to the garbage, the unsold food, and turn it over to those in need. Okay, be it to the shelters, to the homeless centers, to the food bank, whatever. They have to legally are forced to now. Now, it's a sad world where we have to literally make a law that says if you're going to throw garbage in the food in the garbage, you're not allowed to do that. Take it to the food bank. You know, in my apartment, there's an unwritten rule. You know, there's a lot of people who come in through the lobby, obviously, and a lot of people will take food they're not using and put it on the counter, you know, on the bench. I don't even think about it. I just pick it up and bring it inside. Okay, if it's edible. Some stuff, because I give the landlord a hand, some stuff I'll take a look at it going, that's not safe to pass on. Me, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yo, so what we're looking at, get in the habit. It's time to start, if you will, ritualistically approaching the churches and temples in your area, the ones that are local. I'm not suggesting you go on into another city. I'm doing my best to make this as easy as possible. Okay, and what has to start happening, and it is something. What is tomorrow? Tomorrow's Sunday. Yeah, I have trouble getting into churches because, well, number one, they don't like me there. I've been called the devil incarnate so many times, it's absolutely insane. But it's time to call the people on it. Especially, and I will stop by now when I'm walking by a group of people standing on the street corner talking about God and what have you. I will walk into it now and literally ask them what they're doing about the homeless situation, what they're doing about the shelter problem. Because so many of them, like I was talking to somebody the other day, oh, you have to be a member of our temple in order to enter the building. How is this encouraging anybody to join the temple? Like anybody at all. If I'm told I'm not welcome unless I join, I'll tell you, I'll say unwelcome. Well, I appreciate that, LA. LA's just gone. You must be doing something right there. And here's the thing. I've done this before. Like I said, I've been back many lifetimes. This lifetime, I'm not writing the off-worlders out of the equation. And I'm not sitting here telling any one of you that you're better than the next. There is not a religion, or a spiritualist movement. There is not one that is better than the next. All of you have part of the answer. And the reality of getting all the picture is get along. It's weird. Don't argue with each other. Quit trying to isolate yourselves. And I really shouldn't use the term try, because you guys are doing a fabulous job of it. When I was growing up, I was colorblind, admittedly. So I only had 3 colors of people. Albinos, who were white. Really, really shiny black people. Numenorian black, I called it. Okay. They were black. Everybody else was gray. I didn't have brown skins. I didn't have yellow skins. I didn't have Caucasian. It was just, you were all gray. Okay. That was just the way it was. And we had 3 genders. Male, female, and the unlucky few that were born hermaphroditic. Meaning both genders. Nowadays, well, let's face it. I remember when Christianity had one denomination. One. At that point, now that was 2,000 years ago. At that point, everybody that claimed to be Christian believed the same thing. Somewhere over the years, things got really screwy. And now that unified religion, that one denomination, has become, according to the internet, 45,000, denominations. Now, I have no idea how you call that unified. My understanding is that according to the internet, and don't take my word for it, look it up. Okay. According to the internet, the Jewish religion has 3 denominations. I don't know what they are. Of course, I don't know what the 45,000 are of the Christian either. But when you look at the Muslims, they apparently have 1. Okay. Now, with that in mind, between all of them, you've got 55, 50, 55, 60, about 63% of the money on this planet is apparently controlled by those 3 churches, not by the so-called elite, unless they happen to be in the church. Okay. So, that said, it's no wonder we're having trouble. Quite frankly, it's time for us to start, as a society, calling on the people that are actually supposed to be doing things on society's behalf and calling them on it. Yes, some of these people are going to get upset. Absolutely. Okay. I have come to the conclusion that keeping my mouth shut hasn't worked. I don't know if opening my mouth is going to help. But what I do know is not saying anything has certainly created a problem, or more to the point, left the problem to fester. Now, from your guys' standpoint, I figure 12 people made things happen for 2,000 years. using that same run. Right now, we've got enough people in here that if we start pulling together, we are going to be able to turn this and turn society around. Working together, we can run on that ratio 100,000 years. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty tired of the idea of living paycheck to paycheck. I'm wondering whether I've got a roof. Okay. And again, because I am putting out the newsletter, like I said, August comes out tonight. I'll be sending it off tonight and getting it out on time. What I consider on time. Okay. So with that in mind, if you've got some sort of topic, some sort of article that you would like to take a look at or that you would like to see, absolutely send a submission to me through, you can get a hold of any contact to me, literally innervoiceenterprises@yahoo.ca. As long as the article is promoting peace, cooperation, some sort of celebration, absolutely send it. Okay. Now, I got to call something up here. Because I literally posted it. I put this in the newsletter. Because this is very important for my eyes. Where are we? This one. I stumbled across this particular ad. And I stumbled across it on Facebook. Okay. And I literally have this now. I put this on the ballot in the newsletter. Okay. Now it's got the name of the bar. Okay. But the important factor is this is what it says. I'm just reading what was posted on Facebook. Okay. And what it says is every restaurant and bar should have this in the ladies' room. Okay. And you'll understand why it's the ladies' room and not the men's room. Because men don't usually go through this. But the way it reads is, are you on a date that isn't going well? Is your date not who they said they were in their profile? Do you feel unsafe or even a bit weird? Is someone bothering you or making you feel uncomfortable? We're here to help. Just go to the bar and ask your server or ask your server for an angel shot. Ask for an angel shot neat. Someone will escort you to your vehicle. Ask for an angel shot dressed, and someone will call you an Uber or a Lyft. Ask for an angel shot with line, and we will call the police. We will handle things discreetly and without a lot of fuss. We want you to know you are in a safe place and in good hands. Now, myself, I gave a thumbs up on that. I forwarded it. I reposted it in my Facebook. But I went one further, and I've literally printed it in my newsletter. Now, I'm wondering how many of you actually think that is a good one. Oh, I appreciate that, Moonhawk. I have, Tech and I, we came to the understanding. But I do appreciate the effort there, Moonhawk. The neat part about it is it's a post like that does need to go to the restaurants. So what's going to happen now that I'm going to be putting it out, I'll print off a sheet of it, and I might have already done so. So I can take it down to the local restaurant I'm at. Okay. As a matter of fact, come to think of it, there's a couple in my area. I'm just going to hand them around. Because the reality is, this is, it's sad that society has gotten to this point. Okay. And one of the things I do strongly encourage people to do, like if I tell you, I'm going to do this, okay, in my opinion, that's when I've got to get off my tail feathers and make it happen. Okay, now I know I won't be able to do it tomorrow because I'm pretty solidly booked. That and the fact the restaurant I go to isn't open. Okay, but I'm going to take it down because in my opinion, it's a very important little factor. Okay, now as I said, the reason I say that it says ladies' room, very few men run into that problem. Okay, because there aren't that many ratio wise, the numbers are off. But when we look at getting in a routine, I've got this neat little ritual. I tell somebody I'm going to do something, and I do this. This is my funny little list of things I've got to do. Just marking down. Now, I know I won't be going out tomorrow, right? Because by the time that I get done, I'm back here. I just literally don't have the time of day. Okay. But on Tuesday, I'll be going out because then I can hit all the restaurants at the same time. It's not a question going out and saying, hey, let's try and drum up business. Yeah, LA's going, the alternative bars have it for everyone. And, in all fairness, it is for everyone. I don't see a difference. Well, I see an obvious difference physiologically. But emotionally speaking, and as far as the equality thing goes, I don't see a difference between people. Of course, I don't see a difference between people, animals, plants, and non-humans. I see them all the same. Yeah, Ellie goes, I've talked with my bonus kids the importance of this. Bad party call me and ask me why I called. And tell me I have an emergency. I'll get there. I love the concept. I've told my boys the same thing. You ever end up in a place, I don't care what time of day it is, you call. I may not approve of what you did, but you can bet your bottom dollar I'll come. In my case, because I can't drive at night with my youngest, I literally told him, look, I know you got problems with your mom, but I physically can't drive at night. Not with the way the weather was. So you're going to have to, if things go sour, you call her because guaranteed she'll be out the door. She may be in her pajamas, but she'll be out the door. The reality is it's a sad world where the rituals that are supposed to talk about peace, love, equality, cooperation are no longer being taught in the places that claim they're going to teach them. Okay. And if they're not going to teach them, we have to teach the spiritual guides. Okay. My brother, when he was in school, used to go into class before the class started to teach the cooking teacher how to cook a given meal, so the cooking teacher could keep a roof over his own head. How he got to be a cooking teacher, I have no idea. But this is why I say it takes all kinds of people to change this world for the better. Okay, we're going to have to work together. It's time to get in the habit, make a ritual out of it, pray for it, whatever. But remember, just praying, just in your mind's eye going, gee, I wish this world were better. I wish people would talk to each other more. Okay, this is great. Lead by example. Okay, what I'm seeing happen in way too many cases is that people will sit there and go, you should do this. And they themselves do not. This is why I say, when you're following somebody, like in this room, okay, I'll tell you, this is what I'm going to do. Then I turn around and go and do it. Okay, because I figure if I tell you that's what I'm going to do, it is only right that I go out and do it. Okay, I am watching for things like this to bring about, because like I said, Positive Perspectives, the newsletter, which is about to become a magazine. Okay, quite frankly, it is time. Like in our case, we will not print things that say, "Oh, there was a robbery at such and such." Oh, there was a shooting in downtown whatever city. Okay, you already know there are robberies, there are shootings, there are hijackings. You already know they're taking place. Okay, you don't need another newsletter coming out and saying, "Hey, guess what? The world scrambled." Thanks, LA. I appreciate that. Okay, you don't require another setup of that. Okay. Oh, there we go. Moonhawk goes, sorted it. It's on my X timeline. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, oh, okay. Yeah, well, maybe they're phasing out the name Twitter now. Okay. I don't know. I've still got mine set up, so I just hit a button and I'm in. So fortunately, they didn't scramble that. But it's by sharing it, because this message has to get out to everybody out there. Okay. And I know that, I am not the most well-spoken individual on the planet. Okay. I'm lousy where it comes to politically correct. Okay. Primarily because of the fact I'm much more interested in being honest, than I am. I'm much more interested in being honest than saving somebody's feelings so I say it in a way that they like it. Sometimes telling somebody they're wrong, okay, like the individual in the States that turned around and says and goes, "We've got a gravity shortage." Well, I'm sorry, that's called wrong. I don't care whether she believes it. Okay, scientifically speaking, there is actually more evidence that the gravity is getting stronger. Then, there's more evidence to that effect than it is the other side around. Now, with that in mind, am I perfect? Not even functionally close. Okay, but as Joe Stewart puts it, I'm not perfect, but I am doing my best. Fortunately, I am a firm believer that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. But it boils down to setting up a routine, to setting up a ritual. When I was growing up, we used to pray before every meal. Okay, now of course I grew up in the church. I'll use the term grew up a little loosely. Okay, but I grew up in the church. We used to say grace before dinner every meal, like every dinner. Now, do I do that now? Not at all. Okay. On the other hand, I'm constantly thinking about it. Okay. Of course, I'm also constantly eating, but that's another issue. The fact of the matter is, that's terrible, LA. My mom was such a lousy cook, we prayed all right. See, when my mother moved out of her birth home, she knew how to make 10 types of porridge and toast. That was it. My father taught her how to cook, became a phenomenal cook. But that's because they shared the time together. Okay, they put the effort in together. Not going, "Oh, You're female, you cook. Can you picture how well that would have worked? Okay, now I will tell you that I'm teaching myself to cook right now because, quite honestly, I couldn't afford to continue eating out. But now what I'm looking at is I'm getting in the habit of making certain, like I got that routine of stuff. Like I said, I've got 8 things here. And realistically, I've got a 9th one. Because now when I get up in the morning, one of the first things I do is make sure all the dishes from the night before, if we've left any out, that they're all done. Again, it boils down to, now, you can call it praying, you can call it a ritual, you can call it a routine. Call it a peanut butter sandwich for all that matters. Yeah, LA goes, mother was a seamstress. She could sew anything. I learned to cook at 6. The thing there, everybody has a strength and everybody has a weakness. That's just the reality of it. What is that? That's just the literal reality. Is that everybody has these. Yeah, no doubt. See, I was lucky, LA. My mom was a great cook, but I had an immune system that was dang near unstoppable. Okay, so even on the one occasion, Mom made a meal and it went sour. Right, 8 people in the house. I ate more than everybody. I was the only one that didn't get food poisoning. But I'll tell you, part of me sat there going, I really wish I had had food poisoning because I was the one that had to run the errands for everybody that was sick, right? And I was the one that had to do all the cleanup because nobody else was able to move. But it was a question of somebody had to do it. Like I asked myself, like I got asked the other day, literally by one of my guides about 6 months ago now, probably, when I was looking and backing out of this whole thing. Okay, I've literally decided, okay, I'm going to open the door and go back to doing readings, go back to doing healings. Okay, and I was looking at walking out of it, and one of my guides piped up and goes, Keith, if not you, who? If you're not going to do this, who will? If not now, when? And that hit really hard. And I'm like, you guys are right. And you people that really encouraged me not to back out are also right. I cannot, in spite of the problems that I've had, I cannot turn around and leave everybody to just pray that they survive. Okay. Well, technically I could, but it's the wrong way to handle it, which is why I'm still doing it this way. One of the things that we have to realize is whatever you call your method of doing things, call it praying. But please, if you're going to pray with somebody, spell it Pray, not Prey. Okay. And for those of you that don't know the difference, praying, Pray, is that neat little idea where you put your hands together, you bow your head, and you say whatever comes to mind. Praying, when you spell it Prey, is when you're literally targeting people to take advantage of them. Okay. I really encourage you guys not to prey on people. Yeah. LA goes, we can run from our destiny or we can embrace it. And here's the funny little part about destiny. I miss that Joe, but I will say the same thing. Because Joe's going, I always share these shows on my Facebook page. Just one of the reasons I have one. if not for anyone and for everyone else out there, than me. These shows help me as far as the paranormal and cemetery goes. I am so glad that they do there, Joe. And honestly, you're asking questions about them literally boils down to asking questions that many people would like to ask and just don't. The thing is, when we take a look at what we're up to, okay, we have to look at the world. Well, you don't have to. But if we don't start standing up and calling people on their misguidance, how are they ever going to realize they're doing it backwards? Like there's a group of people, and they alternate as to who's there. But I've got to make a point of stopping at them. They're standing there, working for their church. But in my opinion, the churches are not doing their job effectively. They are not supporting the people that really require it. As a matter of fact, they're literally isolating them. And, and I'm gonna put my foot in my mouth. But I've talked to members of the gay community. I don't care. Don't get me wrong. There's a long title for it. I'm gonna call it the gay community. Remember, I said I'm lazy. Okay, you guys have got to start pulling together. Okay, I've talked to a number of members of that society that feel like outcasts within that society because people in that society, just like in the churches, are being told you're not really this way inclined because you got this one little hiccup. Okay, the blatantly obvious issue, and this is because I'm not gay. I could care less if people are gay. Like I told one person, you can make a polite pass at me and I won't get mad. I prefer you don't because I'm going to turn you down. Right? After the first polite one, not necessarily polite. But I've talked to members of the gay community that literally were told, you're not really gay because you got a child. Get it straight. You can think that all you want, but I will tell you, the physiological fact of the matter is, you can have a child without necessarily being hetero. You have to actually participate in it, certainly. But we're finding new and absolutely incredible ways of isolating ourselves. Okay. I mean, there is no doubt I walk down a different road than virtually everybody you know. Probably than everybody you know. There's a few people that know more about that on my end. And I'm not getting into the real depth of it. But it is time to start looking to make it a literal goal to find similarities between you and the people you don't connect with. Now, I will tell you, there are friendships, because you got to remember, here's the kicker. No matter how much effort you put in, it is only 50% of the required effort. Okay. But it's time to put the negative past to rest. It's time to start looking at the positive connections, at what the similarities are. Where can we gain strength? This is what's got to happen. I mean, let's face it. Everybody on earth has the same outcome. You've all got the same destiny. Okay? Every one of you, regardless of what you believe in, regardless of who you vote for, who you sleep with, who you pray to, you all have the same outcome coming. You're all going to die. Okay? Every one of you. And none of you are taking your material stuff with you. Okay? Not a one. Okay? So it doesn't matter how religious you are. Doesn't matter how much money you've got. None of you are taking it with you. It's that simple. And we got to start building on. I encourage you to start building on this simple fact. Most of you, okay, and this is not meant to slight anybody. most of you that wear pants, put them on one leg at a time. Even those of you that are missing a limb, still put your pants on one leg at a time. Okay. It's just a reality. Start looking at the similarities. What is it about that person that you can actually connect with? Not how can I make it seem like I'm better than they are because I got more money. I don't see that money really makes people better. Okay. I do like the way one millionaire put it to me. He goes, I've been miserable rich and I've been miserable poor. Hands down, I would rather be miserable rich. The same guy also said this. Money does not buy happiness, but it sure as heck affords you the ability to look for it in a lot more places. Okay. And by the way, for that genius out there that made the comment on the internet, I don't believe in money. She goes, I do not believe in money. You don't have to. You don't have to believe in gravity either. Everybody else does, by the way. So you're still going to have to work with it. And where money comes into play, develop a way. And I would suggest that if you want to call it praying, really pray or meditate. Take your pick. I've got a bumper sticker like that. Where is it? Right there. See, Joe, I've got one just like that. Right. Now, I don't consider myself gifted. I'll tell you. Growing up, I consider myself rather cursed. Bobs, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The thing is, we got to start focusing on what makes us a society, what makes us a species, not how many different divisions can we come up with. Okay, I mean, let's face it. I could claim something bizarre, oh, I'm better than everybody because I've got two fingers that don't disconnect. They don't separate very well. Since my stroke, this one does a little. Well, it does a lot, but it doesn't stay stable. Okay, but this does not make me better, worse, more important, none of it. Okay, we have to, as a society, as a species, we've got to start looking at it and going, okay, where are the similarities? Where is that community spirit? Centuries back, well, really only a century, and it might even happen today. I just don't hear about it much. But if somebody's barn were to burst into flame, the entire community would rush to that one person's aid, whether they like the person or not. They'd rush to that person's aid to help put the fire out. Okay, in today's world, so many people, and you see this in videotape all the time. Somebody falls down and people walk around them. Okay, it's absolutely bizarre. From my end, it's simple. We've got to start helping each other just because we're helping each other. That's it. I've got the newsletter here called Positive Perspectives and the stream, Positive Perception. I'll tell you, what goes through here isn't always positive, but I choose to focus my efforts on the positive side of it. It is time to start choosing to help each other, to spot the good and the similarities. It is time to choose to promote the benefits of interaction instead of isolation. I'm pretty cut and dry. I will share my opinion absolutely within the parameters that YouTube will permit. If you want to get into certain debates, sorry, put the word out. I will absolutely go on to somebody else's. I will absolutely go on in an interview on somebody else's stream. I've already had my hand slapped once. I'm a quick study. Not doing it again. Okay. And maybe you guys know how to get around that. I don't know. What I do know is that if we continue focusing on the differences, on the problems, all you're going to do is wake up stressed out and absolutely depressed. Now, that may be how you choose to live. I don't like living that way. But I am keeping an eye on numbers, like I'm keeping an eye on the numbers in my stream. You have a good night as well, Renee. Thanks so much for sharing your time with us. Really appreciate it. We're coming down to close, apparently. Yep, we're down to the last 10 minutes. So, the thing is, we've got to start working together. There's no way we can get around it. Well, there is, but the outcome is simple. We don't get around and we don't get working together to finding similarities. We're going to run into a problem. Okay, Rome ran into it. The monarchs, the monarchies around the world ran into it. Anytime that society does not treat its people in an equal fashion, we run into the same problem. I just have to remember a lot of my past lives. This is why I say the path we're heading down is not a good one. But we do have the ability to change it. One of the nice things about it is when you get up in the morning, get a routine set up. Call it a ritual, your morning ritual of getting up in the morning. Between 5 and 6 in the morning is your best when the most successful people around the world, local time, are up and active. Okay, get up at that point. Pick the time that you desire to get up. Okay, get things set in motion, i.e., do what you have to in the washroom, get dressed, get your bed made, and get on with the day. Okay, this is what we're looking at. Now tomorrow we're going to be looking at society and the way this whole routine of ritual can create a better world when we start doing it. But changing the rituals of society starts by changing the rituals and the routines in your own home. Okay, that's where it begins. Okay, once you do that, you'll find you're on the right track pretty quick. Okay, but we will be covering that tomorrow. Okay, and then of course, we're still working on rituals and prayers until Tuesday. I don't know offhand. Of course, it doesn't matter just yet. But when we start, and starting here, I know this. Okay, it took me long enough to see it, but you guys have been persistent in saying, no, it's working, and in doing what you can to help make this shift into the physical world. Okay, this is just a microcosm. Positive perceptions here is just a microcosm of what's going on in the real world. Okay, so, I absolutely encourage you to continue doing what you're doing to assist in making this possible. Now, I've just been told we are at our 5-minute mark. With that in mind, guys, I want to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with me, for sharing your time with us, and thanks so much for the input and the support. Really appreciate it. I will be back again tomorrow, unless I die again, or tech or any number of things. The intention is I'll be back again tomorrow, 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. PST. One of the big things I'm putting out today, the August newsletter, I'm starting to send off tonight. Now, with that in mind, do take care of yourselves until we meet again. Take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.